Hello, traders. New month, new scorecard, new attitude, new Fed speak to digest. In about 2.5 hours, Powell will be back. I want to cover what happened yesterday because I think it's significant what happened. I want to start off with the euro. So it's still my bias that we still have not bottomed in the euro, although you always have to have a line in the sand. So, my line in the sand's about, 113.90 right here. Above this high, I think we could stretch it to 115. It's also possible that this might be it. And I'm still looking for another lower low because the Dixie has not achieved the 97.50 objective. Okay, so we got close to 97 before this pullback. And when I was with you Monday, I was talking about the euro, saying that I thought there was going to be at least another wave to the upside. Actually, I said 1370, 1380 on Monday's video, and that was achieved before the Fed chairman started making his comments about that inflation. We need to retire the word transitory. So, he has to retire the word, or he'll have to retire, because credibility was starting to wane with people continuing to use that word for inflation, transitory. So he changed it to persistent. So that's my take on the yen. I think a couple of very important lows happened yesterday. So I was actually short the dollar from here and long the euro, looking for one more decline in the dollar. And then I noticed intraday, and something I talked about early in the week, was this wedge line in the yen. You could tell the significance of this line going back to, it's kind of like a wedge line that we had an overthrow of, and picked up some yen down there. It was 100 pip day trade. I mean, it rallied from 12.5 all the way up to over 100 pips, 1370-ish. So, about 120 pips. If you didn't take partial profits, and both of these trades were posted here in TradeGate Hub. So you guys have to come in and check things out. Besides what we do streaming, Michael is sharing his work and process on posting trades here on TradeGate Hub. So feel free to come in and make this your home for intelligence gathering. Getting back to the markets, if someone put a gun to my head and said, which one are we going to break first, this low or this low? Gold also, very important level held. I felt that this was the bull's last hope, was going to be this trend line here. Look how many times bounced around it right there. Okay. So I had this line drawn from, I believe, a week ago, after we negated the breakout under this 1828, 1830 level. And if someone put a gun to my head, I would say, and forget it, I don't need anyone to put a gun to my head. I'm a trader, so I do it every day. But I know what my risk is, and I know how many bullets are in the chamber. So when I'm looking at the gold here, I would be expecting a downside failure. I'm not saying we can't rally back to, 18 one more time, or even 1820. The only thing that would have me constructive gold now would be closes back over 1823. Been negative silver, it continues to slide. We're beginning to diverge, so you could have some type of bear market rally at any time. But my bets are that gold breaks down, okay, from that important trend line, and that the yen holds 112.50. We'll see. It better start digging its heels in. And what you want, if you're a gold bull and you want to buy gold cheaper, is you want the yen to give you one more thrust to the upside. this isn't that encouraging here. But back under 1250, I think a lot of things change. The yield picture would change. But I still think there's a possibility of one more high above here for a 3. 116.5 is the possibility. If we start getting closes back over this today's high, back over this 1360 level, that's going to be positive. So 1.5 will take you to 15.5. So may not be a bad probe right here. Okay, so I'm long from yesterday, took partial profits and have break-even stops under 12.5. So took part off on the scalp, and I'll get out of the way at BE under yesterday's low. Canada came off pretty good. You know, it's very possible this was it, yesterday's high, because we are starting to get some type of recovery in crude. I see a 3 drive setting up here in crude, where we could have one more shot down, maybe 62. Turned out to be really the trade of the quarter was a short in the crude, especially with what happened Thursday and very little recovery. So crude may be heading towards 62 before we get a better rally here. S&Ps. Okay, so the S&Ps are actually acting a little weaker than NASDAQ. And all we've been able to do since Friday is move sideways. Okay. And, you know, it's starting to look like it could be a right shoulder. There still is a chance if the dollar rallies and we get that rally to new highs in Dixie 97.5, 98, that we could get one more rally. I'd love to see a 3 drive to a top formation develop here in NASDAQ. Your first sign of it being able to do something like that would be closing back over the 16.4 level. So this is a very important pivot. S&P's made new lows for the break yesterday, but this is really an important level for the NASDAQ. So if we take out this 16.4 level, it would project up to 16.8. That would take it above the high. And when I look at the daily, that would be a pretty classic 3 drive. Here was your first drive, confirmed high, pullback. Here's your second drive, diverging, but over 80, which is not over 70. That's not ideal. It was about 75. And now if we had one more push to new highs in the next week or so, and the RSI stays under 70, you'd have a pretty classic inform you would have no matter where the RSI is, a 3 drive to a top formation. And if the RSI confirms it by staying under the 70 reading, that would even be better. But it doesn't have to happen and we start closing back under 16,000. You're probably talking about at least, 15.6, maybe lower. I was looking for prior highs to be tested. NASDAQ didn't do it. S&Ps did to the pip right here. So this is pretty big right here, the lows that we placed in the S&Ps yesterday. And as you can see at new lows, it looks like a 2 drive, but pretty good divergence. Maybe we're going to get a 3, one more shot down here. Anyway, I'm not short. I'm not long the indexes. I'm waiting. I still think I'm going to have better levels to get short away from that massacre and surprise attack that we had on Friday. So that's my view there. Looking over at some of the other markets that I cover, the yen is going to be important for what happens with yields, and yields turned up yesterday and they're following through a little bit here. So we got down to this 141 level and, I saw this 138 level, these highs right here. I think that's 38.5 as being important. This may have been enough. So what I would expect would be another high in the yen to above the 1550 high and yields moving up above 170 And just, you know, when you look at 170 and 140 and you tack 30 on top of 170, there's your 2% 10-year yield getting above it. So we'll see if this was a low yesterday. You know, the yen and yields are still correlating pretty closely. So if the yen holds that low and yields bottomed here and we go to new highs, that should pressure gold, okay, and take us underneath it. If you want long-term targets, I've talked about it. I'm starting to think that this is possible. This move here from 1910 to 1680 is 230. And if we had a quality from this high, that would take you down to 1650. No, not 3. That's, yeah, 200 from here, it would take you down to 1560. And I have confluence with the 200-week moving average and a fib extension there. So that's my view on where I think gold could go on a breakdown. Silver, you know, it's just acting heavy. I think we're going for stops under this low. I had this speed line driven that could take it down to 20. And, you know, this was a major breakout over $19 here. I don't know if we're going that low, especially since the dollar really only, in my view, has one more surge up towards 98. We'll see how much they could take out of the metals. But if we get that scenario and I'm right about the yen having another push to the upside left in it, and, you know, looks like it might be putting in a right shoulder here, and we start getting through 1360 and we go to new highs, once we're up there at new highs is when I would be expecting a significant low in the gold. Now, if we break down, I would stop pressing the short side of gold and start looking for long entries. So that's my look at what's happening here. You're getting very whippy action in the Dixie. So let's see what kind of possible 3-drive formation could be setting up here. Some type of wedge that could take it down to 520 or so. I know a lot of people are looking for 4.5. I don't think it'll be that deep. So here's the look there. Let's see if we have, okay. We'll see if we're going to break down. So you can tell, there's something else I wanted to point out was when Powell spoke, okay, took the euro down. These are 15-minute candles. So in about 30 minutes, we lost 140 pips in euro, which, you know, was the yen going up in inverse. But what's interesting to me is how it came back with no comments being retracted, which tells me that, you know, we could be getting closer to a bottom because people are willing to come in after big sell-offs and buy the market. And if we start getting through these highs, there's more of a bear market rally left. I'm not sure I could declare the end of the bear market rally in the dollar or the rally that we've had from last January. But this to me shows a willingness of buyers willing to step in and buy breaks. Doesn't mean it's the bottom, but it's a little different action than, you know, we were getting when we had spikes. This action was pretty good compared to, you know, what's been going on over the last several weeks. Really, one of the bigger range 2-hour candles that we had here. So the euro line in the sand up around 1380, 1340 for the dollar to make new highs. If this happens at say 1380, we have a chance for 1460, 115, which was a target from last week. Aussie is trying to bottom. It got down to 70 cents here. I still think we haven't completed here in Aussie, even though we're getting a nice little trying to hold and get a reversal week. Longer term targets are still towards 66. And that would kind of add up with a breakdown in gold, trading back towards this 1600 level. There are tons of stops here under this low. And in fact, I think the stop hunts begin here. Stops under this low, stops under this low, and the grand prize is under 1680. So that's where the flush and capitulation should take place in the gold. And if that's the case, we should have one more push up in US dollar yen, although this candle doesn't look good. That's why I take partial profits. So, let me ask you a question, because they call me coach. So if you bought the yen right down here at the line, which I did, if you didn't take partial profits on a 100 pip move your way, you're going to have a hard time succeeding in the market, because profits, and you never know if you have a low, a high, until you look in the rearview mirror, it turns out to be the low or the high. So while you're trading, you have to be willing to ring the register and on part of your position, or this trade right here, I'd still be up 30 pips, but look how much I've given back. So just something to keep in mind. Try it. Try taking partial profits. Silver's trying to fight its way back. And I did see something, I do cover some stock. So let's see what's happening here in Apple. Apple at new highs at 168. Microsoft is way off new highs. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. We did not, we diverged at this reversal from last week in Microsoft, but look at this reading. See this reading here? It's well over 70. If Microsoft could garner enough strength to push up one more time to new highs, we'll have daily divergence. Netflix, take a quick look at that. I thought we were going to get a 3 up here, but look at this glaring divergence. So Netflix was diverging since September of this year, the fall, and was one of the star performers. And this was a divergence here, but still over 70. And see what I mean about waiting for a 70 under a 70 reading? So this wasn't bad if you played the first divergence, but the second divergence, way under 70, reading of about 63 up here, and this was the trade. So we'll see if we could get a 3 up here, or we're on the verge of breaking down under yesterday's lows. So Netflix not looking so great. Here's Amazon. Amazon has like a little double top here. I'm not sure if we're going to make another move. Never made a new high. It's kind of, I don't know, really hasn't been doing much. We'll see if the new variant forces people to start ordering online. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. It's really unusual for a market to hold up after insider selling and posing a question on Twitter to his followers whether or not he should sell. So Elon has dumped a lot of stock on the market, and I'd say if we headed up towards 1300, we won't confirm on the daily. I don't know what's going to happen here on the 4-hour. I think we're closer to a tradable high in Tesla than where I'd want to be buying it. Here's Facebook, tainted. No, I mean metaverse. So doesn't look great to me. And here's Google, had held up for a long time, and I showed this divergence. Pretty big break. Maybe it fights its way back for a failing rally or one more high. But when you look at almost everything but Apple, which is at a new high and diverging, up here at 68. A lot of the FANGs and NASDAQ 100 stocks do not look that great. So I would welcome one more shot up to new highs for a 3 drive in NASDAQ fading big time here. And that's part of what happens with rates. So we're getting a pretty good fade here. And we'll see. At least last time, NASDAQ did hold this low while the S&Ps didn't. And now the S&Ps are acting a little better. So, you know, I'm going to just be patient. Maybe I'm going to miss this, but I'd like to see if we could get a close back over the 16.4.5, and that could take us to new highs and sometime in December. And that would be where I'm going to be leaning on some highly speculative put strategies on the triple Qs. So, you know, if you notice, there are commercials now where people will break into a hockey game. They're not a hockey player. And then everyone looks at them and goes, well, who are you? And they go, oh, well, I'm an investor in QQQ. And, you know, that's the thing. It's fashionable. You know, QQQ is something that people want to associate themselves with being on the leading edge of technology. And, you know, QQQ looks, you know, exactly like the NASDAQ 100. Also, I notice in semiconductors, which they're having a pretty good day, that we could have a 3 up here too at new highs. So waiting to see, maybe this is by next week. And I invite everyone here. The only 2 trades I posted worked out here. I post them right here in main chat. So you guys need to stop in. First one was shorting the dollar, covering it yesterday for 50 points, and then the buy in the yen. Haven't done anything new today. And the best call for maybe last year for me, I think I have to say was, and you know what? I also want to tip my hat to Michael Venezia, because he was on an energy related short top pick. But, you know, I was getting bearish all the way up here near the 85 level and made a lot of the tough money in here. And then these were windfalls, and these were my targets. And Michael, about the same time, actually picked the top in nat gas. And I think nat gas might be, as well as crude, getting ready for some type of buying opportunity. So yeah, Mike was calling the top up here. So anyone who's been hanging out in TradeGate Hub isn't surprised that energy prices could go down, that gravity exists where there is excessive exuberance, like $100 oil by the end of the year. Not happening. So Mike will be on with you guys in an hour. He'll take you through his process. Join me tomorrow. I'm going to be interviewing Tavi Costa of Crescat Capital, a macro guy. We'll see what Tavi has on his radar. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And to be there for the good times, you have to be there all the time. Good hunting the rest of the day. See you for my interview with Tavi. And don't forget to tune in to Trader Mike Venezia's half an hour stream in an hour from now. So good hunting, everyone. Adios.